This is Everyday Commentary, and this is a video overview of this knife. And this knife is the SOG Mini Aegis. I wanted to do a video overview of this knife because I didn't do a regular review. I just put it up in part of the article I did on readily available benchmarks. And I chose this as the readily available benchmark for pocket knives. There's a couple reasons why. Number one, you can get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, and Walmart. I know you can definitely get it at Walmart and Lowe's. I'm not sure about Home Depot. I think I've seen it there. But the other reason why is because this is a really unsung knife. If you look at like Nuttin Fancy's channel, he has a review of the SOG Mini Aegis, and he liked it a lot. But basically, other than him, it's sort of been ignored by the knife community, and I'm not exactly sure why. I understand that it's a cheap knife. It's around $40, $50. And I also understand that it runs AUS-8 steel, which is probably not the greatest high-end steel. But here's the thing that makes this knife really interesting. This knife weighs 2 ounces, and it has a 3-inch blade, which I find to be really incredible. I mean, there are very few knives that have that kind of ratio. When you're talking about ratios like that, you're looking at knives like the Almar Hawk, which is, or the Almar Hawk or the Almar Falcon, I forget which one, the smaller one. That's much more expensive. It's also not, it doesn't have a blade quite as wide as this one does. This knife seems to be a little thicker, a little beefier than the Almar knives, having owned both this and the Almar. The other thing that I like about this knife is the pocket, the handle shape is really good in the hand. It has a little bit of contouring. Let's see if we can get it here. There's a little bit of contouring. You can kind of see that it rounds over a little bit, and that aids in grip. And then they have a very nice, simple handle here. No finger scallops, no nothing. And while the jimping here is sort of non-functional, the handle shape does give you a lot of purchase. And then there is some functional jimping up here, although, again, I'm not addicted to jimping, but if you're going to make a knife this sleek looking, you probably need some. It is an assisted open. It does use the SOG assisted technology, which is basically a spring coiled around the pivot to aid in deployment. And I've had 3 knives. So I've had a Twitch, I've had a Flash one, and I've had this knife. And this knife is the only one that does not exhibit any sort of up and down blade play. The other ones exhibited some pretty significant up and down blade play. This one has nothing. No blade play this way, no blade play this way, and it works well. I don't like assisted openers, but if you're going to have an assisted opener, this one's not too bad to have. It does use the arc lock, which is sort of a variant of the axis lock, and you can close the knife that way. It's not terribly easy to close one-handed. You do need to have like a surface to push it up against. You know, like you can take and close it, like push it on your leg or something, or push it on a piece of material near you. So it's not exactly a two-handed closing knife, or a one-handed closing knife, but it is definitely a one-handed open knife. Here is the entirely superfluous, let's see if we can get close up, entirely superfluous blade lock, and I believe this blade lock is put there for people other than knife users, so that you can be like, oh look honey, it has a blade lock, it won't come out of my pocket. I've carried this knife quite a bit, and I've never had it come out of my pocket. I will note that the pocket clip is a little sloppy. Let's see if I can get it to, I mean, you can see it moves quite a bit there. And like, that's kind of unacceptable, but it's because they have a single screw holding it in place. If they had 2 screws holding it in place, it wouldn't be able to rock that way, because it basically creates a pivot here. The clip does carry nicely in your pocket. It is a deep carry pocket clip, and the knife won't come out, but it is a little wiggly. Overall, I really like the knife. It's not that expensive. It's very light for its size. It has a real and substantial and useful blade. It has the classically great SOG grinds. SOG does grinds as well as anybody in the knife business. And this knife is no different. It has a really nice flat, full flat grind. It comes to very, very thin, but not paper thin, not like the leak tip. And so overall, I really like this knife. If you're looking for like a knife that you can pick up and beat on, or if you're looking for your first everyday carry knife, you could do a lot worse than the SOG Mini Aegis. One of the better cheap knives out there, and even though it has this really obnoxious SOG grip pattern and SOG logo on the blade, it's a pretty darn good knife. One thing they need to think about is, if you're putting this knife in your pocket and you want to be discreet about it, if you have a brand like that, everyone's going to know, or a lot of people are going to know, it's not a pen. It's probably a knife. So, SOG, I think you should think about that. This is just some really garish and unnecessary branding. So other than that, I really do like this knife. Take a look at it, and I'll put a link in the video notes about where you can read more on that knife. Thanks a lot.